Welcome back into the Newport This Week video podcast series on Bill Bartholomew. Today, an issue that is in pretty much everybody's life in one way, shape, or form. And it's something that may fly under the radar, but is actually extremely, extremely important. And Lilly Dick, who is the president of the Newport Tree Conservancy, co-authored a letter to the editor here at Newport This Week. And I'll read a portion of that for you right now before we get into our discussion. Founded in 1987, the Newport Tree Conservancy has worked diligently with the city of Newport and its residents to establish a successful municipal tree program for the protection, maintenance, and planting of trees in Newport. As a result of this collaborative effort, Newport has a tree ordinance and tree and open space commission and a tree warden. Newport celebrates Arbor Day every year and was the host for this year's State's Arbor Day celebration. Newport has been a Tree City USA for 32 years, the second longest such designation in the state. I skip further down in this letter to the editor, very well written. Without notifying local municipalities, Rhode Island Energy has proposed House Bill H5656 and Senate Bill S0466. These bills would give Rhode Island Energy authority over municipal and private trees with regard to any interference with the utility lines, thus obfuscating any local or tree warden control over public trees and individual property owners' private trees. Lilly, you join us here on the podcast. So this bill, or these bills, the House and Senate, the companion bill, would ostensibly empower Rhode Island Energy to chop trees down without notifying either public or private owners of those trees.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They say that they will notify, but they don't indicate in the bill how exactly that notification will take place. So well, I don't know. Would it be a letter? Would it be a note on the door hanging there on the front door saying we will be back in 30 days and trim your trees? We don't know. So but what if you're away? What if you're away and you don't get that message or you don't get that letter, however you're supposed to be notified, and you come back and half your tree where there are lines might be gone or part of it. So we think that the intrusion or the taking away of the authority of the private property owner of their trees is too far reaching. And we think that it should be clarified that how they will notify the public and then, the private property owners. And then if the private property owner, obviously we all need electricity. We all want to have our lights on, the convenience. There is no question that we want the electrical services to our community and to our individual homes to be tip top. So, but taking away the rights of a community and the rights of a private property owner over their trees and their public trees, their private trees and public trees is just too far reaching. As far as individual trees, private property owners, we feel that there should be a requirement that the private property owner does respond in writing to this request. And should they not get any response from the private property owner after the 30 days time period, then they should not be able to trim that tree until they get a response. And should there be, we've been told that the problem by Rhode Island Energy is the private property owner. So should there be a dispute, then there should be an arbitration board set up so that the Rhode Island Energy and the private property owner can speak and they can work out a solution. As far as public trees, there have been no problem with any of the communities as far as public trees. And that's because not only Newport, but other communities value their trees, but they also value having electrical service. So they work together with the tree warden and the utility company. And we think that if the system is not broken, what is it that they're trying to fix? So it's more of if I could be so bold as to say, a real power play, pardon the pun, a real power play over communities. And we've been told that they've been amending the, and I have a copy of the amendment here, the proposed amendments to the legislation, but it still does not fix the problem that the tree warden in each of the communities should have the final say, and the individual property owner should have some protection.
Absolutely. And it definitely gets into a lot of property rights issues. There's home rule issues at play in terms of the municipality versus this entity that is, wants to operate in a private sector capacity, but some would argue is ostensibly some kind of quasi-public agency at the end of the day. It's interesting. I think it was about a week ago, or maybe more than that now, but I was entering the island through off 24. And as I'm driving through Portsmouth down 138, it dawned on me that there's going to be a day where people look back on photos and they see power lines in the air and they go, what is that? What was that all about? Well, someday this won't be a thing. Right now, it certainly is, though. And there's an argument to be made that maintenance of the power system, for lack of a better term, is critical. But the idea of chopping down trees without proper notification of the steward of those trees, it does seem like a major stretch. What do you think it would take for the communication, the pipeline between Rhode Island Energy and the various owners, so to speak, of these trees, be it private or public? What should that look like? You mentioned leaving the note, mentioned the commission, but from a practical standpoint, how do you get this done in a way that both preserves the vegetation, but also allows for the electrical system to operate with as minimal impediments as possible?
Well, that's a good question. As far as notification, I mean, I think that if you have a zoning issue, zoning board in the various communities sends out a registered letter to the abutters indicating that someone wants a change in their, variation to the zoning, or they want to put up a deck, or they want to whatever. So that kind of official notification is what I would recommend. But further to your question, we have asked to sit down at the table, the Newport, Middletown, and Portsmouth tree commissions and tree boards, the Tree Conservancy. We have asked to meet with Rhode Island Energy and sit down, find out what their problem is. We certainly want to help solve their problem. There's no question we want to have, as I said earlier, uninterrupted service of our electrical supply. So let's find out what the problem is and help them solve it in an equitable way, so that both the municipalities, the public trees, and also the private trees, private property owners are protected, as well as Rhode Island Energy. So they have not been, I don't know if they're not willing, or they just don't want to, or what the problem is, but they have not indicated that they want to sit down with us. They have worked on, as I said, rewriting parts of the proposed legislation, but without input from us. And our representative, Lauren Carson, has been working on trying to make some of our proposals, but wouldn't it be much better if we just sat down at the table and worked hard at that? And the other indication that you mentioned is looking at the lines coming into a community, the electrical lines, as sort of, let's say you did that 20 years from now, as being archaic. They are archaic, and any new development in this community anyway requires underground wiring. So underground wiring would be a good way of moving forward. It will be probably all over every community in 10, 20, 30 years from now, but let's start now.
Absolutely. In fact, and to your former point, you close your letter discussing this letter to the editor that you penned, co-authored, that creating a task force to design a statewide vegetation and tree management plan.
Right.
would do exactly what you said. And literally, you write, such a collaborative task force would ensure transparency, equity, and a better outcome for the management of both our electric utilities and trees and environment as a whole. It seems like a pretty straightforward concept. And now we await Rhode Island Energy, who we will certainly be reaching out to from a media standpoint as well, to come back to the table and find a solution.
Well, wouldn't that be wonderful? If you could get them to the table, we would be very, very grateful. So I hope
Yeah,
you're successful.
we'll work on that for sure. Lilly
Yeah.
Dick is the president of the Newport Tree Conservancy. Thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.